In this video, we'll see how we can build automated UI workflows with Amazon Nova. So Amazon has come up with this service where you can create automation workflows where you don't have to interact with the backend, but then you interact with the UI itself and you can do automation to it. So it's the use case is really good if you want to search for hotels and flights from one location to another location. So it can go to three different websites and find different flights for you and give you the best one, something like this. The reason for this is most of the websites might not have an open API that they could do a call to maybe an MCP tool, something like that. So it becomes really difficult. But then if you can interact with the UI, an AI agent can interact with the UI directly, then it becomes a lot easier. So if you go to your Amazon Nova, this is what will open up. You can chat with this, you can speak, and then you can build with it, right? So we'll talk more on the building part and how we can use this. So they have given a pretty neat UI agent that that you can do it. So if you come over here and then you say find available flights, so like this, and you can play. So what's going to happen is it's going to go to this particular site. It is going to look for. So as you can see, it comes over here, and you can see the thinking also. My task is to find flights from Boston to Wolf on February 24th. So it's going to look for the text box of origin, destination, and try to do. This is what a actual human would replicate without having access to the database, the API, and nothing. Completely UI based automation. So this is just one example, and they have a lot of other examples like QA and data extraction, form filling, stuff like this. So for this particular video, I'll show you how you can code this up using their Nova SDK and how it is very useful in QA testing. And that's what we're going to see. So now if you see, it is going to the calendar. It is going to select 21st February. So it understands. So how this works under the hood is what Nova is actually doing is when you say that I want to go to this website. So it goes to the website and takes a snapshot of this. And this snapshot is given to their Nova models, which tries to understand what is happening over here on the current session state of that particular screenshot. It will take that screenshot and do analysis, and it will tell the agent, that tell the LLM that there is a button in this particular box, and it will tell you, hey, can you click on one box? Okay, before we move ahead, so it says agent run succeeded. So it has returned a site with this, and that's the price, which is the cheapest, right? So that's the entire process. So in this case, what is happening is it will look at this particular box and it will tell that, hey, I need to click on this button, I need to click on this button. It is going to return the coordinates. So the coordinates are getting clicked. That is why it becomes really good as compared to our normal automation scripts that we used to write, because we need to, in previous methods, we need to code up that, hey, there's a button with an ID, and then you have to look through that. But let's say if your UI changes tomorrow, what are you going to do? Then your button's name changes, your position changes, what's going to happen? Then you have to change your testing scripts as well. It becomes difficult to automate, and then you have to maintain it as well. But with this, even if the button from this location is kept over here at the bottom, it can still access that because it is taking a screenshot and then it is looking for that button, and it is the coordinates of that particular button that is getting clicked, and that's how it works. Okay, so there are many different uh, examples given. So this is the QA one. So let's see. So if you see the QA, it goes to this website. It is going to go return in this particular format. That this is what we're going to build, and it says assert if mass is 1.05x times Earth, right? So this particular website has that information. So if you come here, it will try to find this. It is going to find this. It is going to find this, and then return the response as pass fail, stuff like that. So this is what we need to build right now. and we'll do it with SDK. So before we move ahead, we need to create an API key. So if you come here, just generate a key, and then you can have the secret key and you can use it. Now what we are going to do is there is a website there is a website this. So this is something I use for my own 3D printing, which allows you to come to any location. You can type here something and it will generate a 3D model. So this is what I've built for myself. And the problem with this is a genuine thing that I need to do. If I update something over here, I every time I have to come here. I need to check this. I need to generate. I need to download. And once I download this, I need to open the 3D printing software and I need to check whether this is coming correctly or not. Right? I need to do this every time, just so that I know that something that I've changed in my logic has not is not affected my previous thing, right? So I need to do this, and this is not one thing. I have multiple different 3D models, and it takes a bit of time for me. So that's what we are going to automate right now. The first thing we will do is we need to install Python Nova SDK. Okay, so let's move to move. So this is the VS Code that I have ready, and I've written the code. I don't want to spend much time on this. So I got this code. This was the first initial code from their repository and example given on the GitHub. I'll put that in the link below. You can use that as well. Okay. So this is the Nova Act library that we need to use. And how this works under the hood is it uses something called as Playwright. So Playwright is developed to automate your UI workflows, but it does it based on your clicks and the way you have given the steps. So it is automated if you do it first, and then it is automated every time. Okay, so they have built this Nova SDK on top of that, and they have their own functions as well. So you import it first, and we are going to initialize the Nova Act. First is the starting page. So this is the URL. Then you record a video. So whatever steps you do right now would be recorded, and these are the logs where everything would be stored. This is where you keep the key. So create a .environment file and have the key which you created just now there, and then use it. Okay, so what are we going to do first? So if you go back here, the thing that I need to test every time is I have to come here, go to toy space and go to the kitchen tab. These are only three tabs right now, but my plan is to add more. So I come here, type something, generate and download it. So that's the thing that I always have to do if I change something. Okay, so that's what I've automated already. So what it does it, and now we need to understand that everything is in natural language. Before, when we used to write automation UI automation scripts, it was like CSS selectors, HTML selectors, where you used to say, hey, is there an HTML related to button with an ID, you know, ID submit, okay, something like this. So this is what you need to code every time, and that's how testing was done. But now we have eliminated most of the stuff, and it is more uh, semantic and in natural language. So why do we say act? It is because under the hood, Nova is going to perform actions like clicking, selecting, multi-select, or toggle select, stuff like that. So that actions are already defined in the library of the SDK. Okay. So what I say is search for a drop down and select toy space from it. Something that a human does, something that I do every time. I come here, select this, and try to test. Okay, and in the keychain tab, write my name and do the text in the text section and click generate. Okay, so there are two things here. Look for this, write this, and click. So the three action items in one action item. That's what we have done. So we have to make sure that we don't do a lot of instructions into one uh, action itself. It might just not work. Okay, so that's why I've done three, and then it will do search for STL file generated successfully. And once that is done, there should be a click button over here. So if I generate this, there's another button. Click on the download button, And this is where the semantics actually help. So let's run this. So once you start running this, there's a free version. Workflow has started, it's running. So the tab has opened automatically. It has started writing in the text box, and the generate button was clicked, and the download button was clicked. And now the entire process has been finished. So if I get a response, a completed response, the so I know that my after making a few upgrades onto my system, it is working correctly. It took 58 seconds for everything, uh, and it did 4 calls, which is correct, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we need to understand, I said click on the download button. So it understands that if there was something else written in the download button instead of the label being download, it would have still worked, right? Because now it is understanding the semantics and it has downloaded. So this is the downloaded STL, and that's what I've actually opened over here. So this is how it helps me test it if I do something, uh, a change, and that would help me fix it faster rather than always trying testing it manually. Okay, so that's one way. So this is very simple, and you see I just had a few actions that I'm performing. Okay, but how there are some limitations to this also. Now these steps are only specific to the keychain tab. It's not testing this. What if I want this as well? It becomes a bit. Now I can't have 4 more action buttons over here and then try the same thing again, then I have 3 here, then again 4 more. So it becomes a bit of a hassle. But this does when you know that these are the steps that are always performed, and this is going to never change. This is not going to change, and keep it semantic as well. So this helps a lot. Okay, so the next thing that we'll check is, this was the action part, right? But there is something that you can use for, if you're a QA working in your software in your software testing. There's something called as action get. Okay, which returns if something in a particular format. This helps a lot because I might not need to look at the UI to make it work, to make sure that it worked. If I can get a response, I have the confidence that it worked. Okay, so before we run this, let's see the log files. So in our previous run, this is what ran. So if you see, there were 4 actions. That was correct. 58 seconds taken. That's the session ID, and then there would be video as well. So okay, if you see, there are 2 videos. One of them would be the entire video, and then we have the actions that ran. Okay, so the JSON. So if you see screenshot taken of this URL saying this, then let's look at the thought as well. So it's saying that, hey, I want spaces. That's the path. My task is to search for the dropdown, select toy space from it. Okay. So if we scroll here, we can see that thinking part over here also. Dropdown menu is now expanded, indicating my previous action was successful. I see the dropdown now shows options including toy space, which is what we're testing, which is the one I need to select. I should click on toy space option to select it, and that's how the UI changed. So that's how everything is stored over here. Okay. Now look at the second one. How this helps doing it. What I'm doing is right now is return true or false for these cases in the format case 1, pass, case 2, fail. So if something fails, that's how I would know it is failing. So instead of writing 4 different action items, I'm writing one action item, and the entire prompt is very similar to what we did before. Assert if toy space page loads from the drop down. Okay, the first one after visiting the website. So we are already starting here. So the first task is, hey, can toy space gets load from the drop down or not? So I'm not telling it to find or search for anything. Okay, it is intelligent enough to understand, hey, there's a drop down, I should go inside and check, maybe I would find it over there. If you find it over there, look at the second one. Can you find a text box and write the word Aniket inside that? Okay. Then it will click on generate button, and then it will do the download button as well. Okay, so let's run this. So session has started. This is the action that it is going to perform. So now the reasoning has changed. The navigation menu is expanded. But now the reasoning is different from our previous one. So it is saying currently it is set to welcome, which is correct. That's the home page, right? And I need to select toy space option. I should click on the choose a space drop down to expand the options. So that's the thinking it is actually doing, right? And if you see this box 25 to 57 17, that's the location that it is finding that it needs to click. That is what is configured in their SDK. Right? So once you do that, so if this particular HTML has been created, if I just copy this, so that's the entire viewer. So this was my prompt that I gave to test. There were 7 steps executed. Step 1 is coming here, and it was telling me then, oh, this is the first step where this is the actual prompt, and it found this box. Then it found then when the page loaded, it found that, hey, it is welcome. There's nothing related to something called as toy space. So now what? But it understood that this is a drop down. Then it found toy space. Then it went inside and found the text box. It typed my name, clicked on generate. Then this particular file was created and created on download STL file. Okay, and this is the entire result. So when you look at it, you get the response which you expected it to have. All the test cases passed. Okay, it was able to do everything. So this is the second way that you could automate your testing of your UI. Okay, so that's one. Now we need to understand, now this becomes another hassle for us. We can't have a 100 line, 200 line, one action with a particular response. It might fail at some stage, so we need to make it a bit more better, right? We need to make it better. So you come here. Now I've created this particular file which follows our standard OOPS structure, right? You get the API key, and then now you pass the URL. This helps us to, so here if you see, this was starting page that I was putting manually, hard coding it. Now it becomes a bit easier that I need to pass the URL. So if you have 3 websites, and in 3 websites you need to run the test, you can do it just passing the URL. Okay, so the action, so now you have to do the test action, and we change the return state like this. And then in the end, I have a function called as report. So the total number of test cases, passed, failed, errors, and the details of everything. So now you start using this. So now you have all the tests in one place, but now you are passing it in a very different way, and you can have your expected outputs over here. Okay. So the name is drop down selection, and then you run the action that you want to do. It comes over here, gives them the entire test, and it takes the name of that and the expected value, and tries to make the status of how it works. So let's try to run this. So this has also opened the entire page. So if you see, pass, 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 and then download fail. So the way I have written over here, it might not have worked, or the file is not in the correct STL format for the 3D printing extension that we need to do. Okay, so that this is another way that you can write better semantic testing, QA testing that you could do. Now, this was very easy as compared to how we do it. This helps us understand the semantics of UI testing, where even if your UI changes, your test cases might not fail, because even if you UI change, the meaning of your UI generally remains the same. Now, having said that, can we make to can we make improvements on this? Okay, so one of the things is, let's say we go back to the site that I was trying. Okay, so if I come over here and try to see what all things that I have, if you see that I have been working on this particular feature as a developer, so it's my responsibility to check this particular feature, or let's say the entire three features are developed by me in this particular application. When I go to something else like this, now there are two more, and these two more are there. Some other developer is working on it. Now, when we both write test cases, both of them are going to use this particular drop down and look for toy space or desk space or cook space, right? So I would be writing test cases to understand that, go and look for a drop down, and then there would be another developer who would also write a test case for go and look into the drop down but for desk space. So if you see now, there's a repetitive work of opening the drop down. Now, what can we do is, we can convert our functionalities in terms of testing that are repeated a lot of times into an MCP server. So I've used I took some help. I already knew what type of tools I want to create for my MCP server, and I've taken some help from Gemini to create this particular test script. Okay, so what we do is, so for me and my other developer, opening this navigation of drop down was same, right? Instead of him writing that particular feature and me writing that particular test feature, we have an MCP server with that tool always available. So when I submit my tests and he submits his tests, we both utilize the MCP server's tool of opening this dropdown and looking for what we want. Okay, this becomes more standardized and very easy to implement if there is a very huge application and there are many QA testers who are trying to do this, and we have an MCP server with predefined things already, at least some part of it, not everything, some part of it. Okay, so if you see, this is the tools that I have created, like select drop down application. So when I create a test case, I just create a test case after going inside toy space and maybe clicking this part, and the important part of the feature is tested. But opening the drop down, looking for toy space, that would be handled by this particular MCP tool, which I have defined it once, and all the developers are using it. That makes it really, really powerful. No. So starting the session, which is opening this page and looking for what we have, then selecting the drop down, looking for all the tabs, all the options that we have in this tab. Then we have the discover tabs. So there are three tabs over here. What if there were 15? And if I do the steps for three, the other 12 are missed. So when I open this, it is discover all the available tabs in the currently selected application. So coming to toy space, try to find all the tabs that are available. So when Noah takes a screenshot, I do not write that there are tabs related to keychain, fidget, because the names can change, right? So what will happen is, a screenshot is taken. It will try to find these tabs, and this is the prompt of the action. Look at the page and list all the visible tab names separated by commas. Just return the tab names, nothing else. So it will return keychain, dual letter illusion, and fidget. Tomorrow, if I don't have this feature anymore, it will just return keychain and fidget. That's how it becomes easy for me as well as the other developer to do the same thing in some other space. For him, it's going to be these three. For the third developer is going to be something else, right? So because now we are not writing predefined steps, we are trying to define steps in a more generic and intelligent way. So we return the tabs, and that's how this one tool would work. Then we have the functionality of the tab. Look for text boxes, try different things, right? We can do all of those things. So this particular test is the main functionality. Now for my tool, I know what type of things would work here, right? Right, filling with some text, trying to do this without putting anything in the text box. All of this I can write an MCP tool. So I've created this server. Now it really helps when I have a tool like find bugs in my app. So if I go and I say, hey, leave everything empty and just try to click on generate, what's going to happen? So it will find some bugs into my application easily. So I don't need to write an automation script the way we used to do earlier. Now it's very easy in terms of writing it in natural language. Now this is an MCP server. How do I access the tools of this MCP server? The best way to do is write an AI agent. So now we move to the fourth part of our video, which is I've created an AI agent, which you can see over here, which is a Bedrock model, a Claude Sonnet 4, 4.5, but you can use anything from Bedrock. So I have this agent, and now my input is going to change. When we the first thing that we saw was I was defining all the steps, assert toy space. But what if someone who doesn't understand what is there inside toy space? They wouldn't know whether you can type in a text box because they do not know whether there's a text box inside this page or not. So now my questions are going to be more generic. It's going to be start the session and find bugs in this and this space. That's it. Now it is the responsibility of the AI by taking screenshots, looking at the page, understanding the way the page is done, and trying different things. Right? So in this scenario, let's say the first one, what's going to happen is it's going to start a QA session, which is one of the tools that we wrote. It's going to try to find the bugs. So this is the intent of the prompt, but in two spaces. So it's going to come here, and to find a bug, what it is going to do, it is smart enough to understand that without typing anything, I should try clicking on generate. Will it work or not? So stuff like that would be tried by this particular test. This becomes really, really powerful. You can do this by creating another test for edge case testing. So, like I said before, it can do it over here also to report a bug, and it can do it over here also. Right? This is very specific task. Then you can have multiple tasks like this, and how it works right now is you run that, it comes over here, it creates a client, which is it creates an MCP client, okay, and we have an MCP server which is already running. If you are doing standard input output, we don't have to run it, but you can just import the files. That's what I've done. You import the file Python, it will have all the tools access. The access of the tools would be over here, okay. So all the tools that we just saw right now, all these tools will be available to the agent, okay. So and the agent is free to use any of the tools. So based on the test case, it might only require to discover the tabs and look for the bugs in that application. That's it. It would not go inside this, it would not go inside this. So if you see the second test case that we had, it was for edge case testing. So it will come over here, do maybe do the first one, the second one, and directly go to the edge cases for that particular application. Okay, so it is free to choose which the AI agent is free to choose which tools are necessary. I would not go into depth of how the code is written because it's a very huge code in terms of formatting it, because this is where the actual data is returned to the AI agent. So selecting the drop down but not mentioning what type of drop downs I have, it should understand on its own and return it. So if you see application name success, and this is the result. We don't know whether it is toy space or any other word. Okay. So that's how the tool is created. But I have this file uploaded on the git on my GitHub, so you can go and check it out, and that would help you with the code ready and to start working. Okay, and here I'll just go through the code. Environment, because I have the no Nova API key. This is the standard input output without keeping the server running. You can have the MCP server tools, the Bedrock model, and the client which interacts with the server. Okay, so common things that Gemini was able to give me all of these things quickly, and then we have the MCP client, the model, and then we run it. So from here it is able to access the tools. So that's how it works. It becomes really powerful in terms of if you have a very big application, you can have many tools over here, have an AI agent and can ask as generic questions as you can. A non-technical person can also check this. So if a non-technical person wants to go and check, hey, is the functionality in this particular section of the web application broken or not, that's it. That's all the non-technical person has to ask, and it will go and use all the tools like clicking, looking for it, trying different edge cases, and giving you a report. And it becomes really easy. So that's what Nova is done. I'm genuinely impressed with what Amazon was able to do. Uh, it becomes really easy to do such kind of UI automation, workflow testing. There are a lot of other things. If you don't have access to the models, I think you'll have to come over here on Bedrock, go to model catalog, and just click on something. If it says that hey, you are not eligible, then you'll have to request for it. So I think I did not have access for the Anthropic, but I did have access for the Llama and the Gemini ones. Let me check, like something like this. So Anthropic requires first-time customers to submit a use case details before invoking a model. Okay, so you'll have to check which one, and then just go to your code, which is over here, and change this particular model ID, and you're good to go. You can just start using it. And yes, that is one. And I did mention about the API keys. Yes, so that's how Nova uses its the Nova SDK has the ability to do UI workflow automations, which is really genuinely helpful. That's what I wanted to show you in this video. I hope you learned something new. I'll put all the links in the description. The SDKs and the examples, the code that I showed you right now is also there on my GitHub, and you can take it and you can work on it. Awesome. Thank you so much.